Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to another Biomutant video. Today we got some great new footage from Stefan Lundqvist, the creative director of Biomutant, actually doing a voiceover narration about what Biomutant is. This video has just gone up on the THQ page, I do believe, so you go and check it out if you want to just hear him. But I thought we'd go over it as well in the details, because it does, with cross-checking against PewDiePie's 4-hour stream that he did the other day and a bunch of other stuff I've learned, we can really delve into some of the stuff that you're going to be playing with, like the mutations, like the modes of transport, and it's just looking amazing, guys. I can't state enough how great this game is. I have got code, I have been playing it, I can't say more, but it is just a fantastic game so far in my opinion. So please make sure you like and make sure to subscribe for the best in survival and open world games, news, guides and opinion, and let's go through Biomutant, brand new info. So let's start with that character creation. There is an absolute ton of stuff that's been revealed in the last few weeks about the classes, about the races. But what Stefan said here was pretty true. Whatever you start off as, it doesn't have to be anchored that way. You could start off as a more tanky character with strength or more vitality, and you can quickly morph into something different if you find you're not really at one with melee weapons. You can really go for it and put more points into some of these other attributes. So you're not stuck to one sort of play style. You can just literally mix and change it up. So your vitality is going to increase your health and armor, pretty bog standard, and it is an RPG game. This is about building up your character with the stats that you want. And so obviously you'll have more health, you'll be more tanky. It's a good idea if you really like maybe them close combat characters that really get into it rather than firing from range. So yes, how you look at the beginning of the game is important, and it will give you them starting stats, but you won't be tied to them forever. What we still don't know is whether or not your actual character will change as you progress. Say I start out as a strength character, will I become more skinnier or smaller because I've gone for more intellect or charisma points? But we know that you will be able to level up and choose your points, and it does look like they go up by around 10 every time that you upgrade. You'll get attribute points when you're fighting against bosses, as well as obviously just leveling up your XP. And I'm sure there's other ways to also give some of your attribute stats a little bit of a boost. So yes, obviously going in strength is going to give you much more melee. Intellect is your power and your Chi energy and your energy regen, and this is effectively the psi points, what they govern. So pretty much doing things like electrifying enemies, using elemental powers like heat or cold, or as we've seen from the trailer in a while, levitation. This is all governed by your Chi energy, but dodging is also governed by your Chi energy. And this comes under your agility, your movement speed as well. So if you're a kind of person that likes to get in, get out, really move around, maybe a bit like Batman from Batman Arkham games, as Stefan kind of references here, then the agility class is definitely going to be something more that you should go for. But if you're someone who wants to be a bit more of a wizard, then it's definitely the intellect and having ways to either regenerate your power bar more so that you can do more magical spells or Chi spells or Psi spells as they're called. Now from the playthrough from PewDiePie's stream, we saw that the Psi powers are different from your Biomutant powers, and you can pretty much choose one of 4 slots to put a power in. So you will have 4 slots, which will be the face buttons when you hold LT or L2. So yes, you will be able to get powers that are associated just with your Psi energy, and then you'll have powers and special abilities or moves that are only gotten by upgrading your Biomutant skills. So there's probably like 4 different ways to buff your character. Attributes, Psi powers, bionic powers, as well as upgrade points. Now of course customization is a big part of it as well. It doesn't look like there's any sort of transmogrification in the game as of yet, but that could be something I'm sure they'll add in the future. But it does look like it's really involved really depth. We've probably seen the tagline by now where there's over 200 million combinations just for your ranged weapons in having add-ons and stuff. But that does also apply to your armor parts as well. You'll have simple clothing that you'll find or you can buy, and then the clothing that you'll find as loot, you can then add on certain items to them if they've got add-on slots. Not every piece of clothing does have add-on slots, but the majority looks likely they will. And this is a way to further enhance your gear, give it some sort of elemental damage or some more elemental protection. Now you have your torso, you also have your legs, then you have left shoulder, right shoulder, and you do have back. So the back is usually for like your backpack. And then you've also got the head and face slots, and all of these slots can have different gear with different add-ons added. In terms of weapons, you have your main weapon hand and then you have your off hand, and it does look like you'll be able to dual wield. We've seen that, one of the pre-order bonuses is that, and you'll be able to dual wield melee weapons as well as ranged. Now, something that's changed since my last video I spoke about some of this is the crafting options for melee. I wasn't too sure if they had the same system that they showed off last year, which was you've got one-handed melee weapons, two-handed melee slash weapons, and then you've got two-handed or heavy weapons. And for the range stuff, you've got sort of pistols, assault rifles, rifles, shotguns, and then after that you adjust and change and add all these components that you'll find, which is all completely random with the loot that I find in the world. Now, some of these weapons do have moves themselves, and you're going to have to spend your upgrade points that you get for getting to every level on some of these moves to unlock their full potential. So there could be one-handed slash weapons explicit moves that you'd have to spend upgrades on to utilise them in combat. And then on top of that, we have got the psi powers and, like I said, the biomutant powers, and they are going to take up or use your Kai energy. And so it is important with your character design, if you think you're going to use powers a lot, choose a class just to start with that will give you them kind of attributes or put more points into them. So gaining levels in experience is going to give you upgrade points that will give you certain moves for all of your different weapon sets, and then you also have your attribute points which you can sink into your attributes. Your bio points, you'll have to actually find these out in the world or get them from certain enemies that you defeat. And it does look like psi points is something that you unlock by rescuing certain NPCs, as well as obviously maybe finding them out in the world. It does look like some equipment and items you won't be able to use unless you have got the right attribute skill levels, so you might need 13 strength to use a one-handed heavy weapon. It looks like that goes the same for some psi abilities. You may need to be a certain level in aura, either dark aura or light aura. I'm saying that really weirdly, I don't know why. Now I've got it stuck in bed, I can't get rid of it. So not only will you need an amount of psi points to buy certain abilities, but you'll also need to be the right correct level in either dark or light to use them. I will be doing some character guides about which ones I think you should go for first. Now, return to weapons just a bit, you find these. These are air balloons, where you'll find them in lots of villages and outposts. And then, as mentioned, just to briefly repeat while we're doing it here, the biomutant points you get by finding them in pools or little containers and defeating certain creatures, and that's how you can upgrade some of them abilities. All help contribute to the overall damage output, but also whether or not they've got any sort of elemental effects. And so there is a way to wholesale upgrade. So if you have made something that's got a bit of a mix match out of like a rare item, and then the quality's maybe not so good, but the material's great, once you upgrade, it gives a boost to everything. So it's probably going to be a bit more expensive to upgrade a wholesale weapon like this, but it does mean you're raising the whole level and improving everything in that weapon. Stefan was keen to point out there's no durability on weapons either, they will not break, and that's great news too. It did say you'd be able to repair items, but he did say also there is no durability, so maybe you will find damaged items that you'll have to upgrade before you can get the full use out of them. So next, Stefan talks about the actual tribes, and there are 6 tribes, and we know this already, and you'll be siding with some of them, and some have a light aura, some of them have a dark, and there's 3 on either side. And at the beginning you are going to have to make a decision about which tribe you like. It's one of these 2, and we've seen that from PewDiePie's stream. Pretty much the guy on the left, Samurai, is the dark, and the guy on the right, the Myriad, they're the good tribe. But you are able to change your allegiances, or it's going to really affect the story depending on what you do with these tribes. Could mean the tree of life potentially becoming withering away, or you could be potentially helping to destroy the tree of life, and that's obviously tied into the world eaters as well. But the tribes here will give you weapons and certain gear for defeating them, and you'll get gear and weapons just by being allied with them and completing tasks, normally taking out some of the other outposts, again judging by what PewDiePie showed. I do have to reference this a lot because I am still strictly under NDA, so I can't talk about anything that hasn't been revealed publicly by others. But I'm very excited to dive deeper into this on release day or the day before when the embargo lifts, so make sure you tune to the channel for really in-depth stuff. But yeah, the tree of life is obviously the heart of the story. It's the most important thing, stopping the world eaters from either destroying it or helping them. Now I'm kind of hoping there's more than maybe just 1 or 2 endings. In fact, we kind of know there's more than 2. They've said in the past, in lots of interviews, that there are more than 2 endings. But with the way that there's maybe 6 tribes and there might be an opportunity not to be fully dark or fully light, I think that could be interesting if there's definitely more ways to play it. I guess that might be asking for too much. But yeah, how you really act with these tribes is going to go a long way to what kind of ending you get at the end. It's maybe not just about defeating the bad tribes, it's about uniting them if you can, or trying to convert some of them from dark to light, or from light to dark. You can just play it sort of renegade, which I will probably be doing. Now, I have already mentioned some of the mutations and the abilities there and how they're, paired off, that you've got the psi abilities and then you've got the sort of biomutant abilities. Now, the way it works is that you've got some that you'll use simply like this, which are spells, and they'll wear off after a little while, or they may be just a one-time use like this. But they're not all just damage outputs, like this crazy mushroom toadstool one, which helps you get some elevation and air to get to hard to reach places or to use it in combat. And it's so cool, it just looks so amazing, running around on a toadstool to get high and really maybe do some damage from above. And then obviously you've got the psi ability here, which I'm guessing is electricity. I'm guessing it's a psi ability because it's more like telekinesis, that kind of stuff. They're the kinds of uses that you'll find with the psi abilities, where it looks like the biomutation ones are varied in different ways. Like they'll either help you do more combos by looks of things, or move around, or using certain equipment to get around as well. And obviously this isn't the same as having the bionic equipment, which you will get as well, we'll just cover in a second. But yeah, you can see this like levitating and getting up through buildings, fireballs, there's a whole choice. I will be going through every single mutation with pretty much all the uses and whether or not they're good enough, I think, for certain aspects. Now, exploration obviously is important. The world is an 8x8 kilometer map. It did show that the very first hour of Biomutant from PewDiePie's stream was quite linear, and it has to be said afterwards that some parts of the world did feel rather empty at the very beginning. But I think the idea is that you have a moment of calm before getting to certain places where you're going to have big battles. It's not going to be a game like a huge open world game there. There's enemies at every single turn, every single corner. Not in the beginning stages anyway. This may change. Obviously I've only seen about 3 or 4 hours of PewDiePie's stream, and that's about as much as we got. But the sheer choice in the enemies though, and the different types, looking like there's mini bosses, just bigger, larger creatures with the smaller minions at random, it just looks amazing. If the combat is challenging, if it's got that sort of Devil May Cry arcadey movesets where you have to really learn and utilise, and mixing it up with the different abilities, I think people are going to really enjoy that aspect. I'm pretty sure that's meant to be like one of the main focuses. It's one of the best gameplay sort of hooks, is the combat and the way that you can be versatile and mix things around, facing off against these big enemies. Now, we know there's varied mounts in the game, but there's also a flying carpet, we know there's a mech suit, we know there's the water sort of jet ski, we also know that there's a helicopter device, there's a wing glider, there's all sorts of ways we're going to be getting across the map and utilising all these different types of equipment, and I can't wait to explore and see which ones are best, which ones are good for different moments. And of course the map has got different regions, mountainous zones, cold is affecting some parts, heat is, and areas affected by sort of elemental damage, so you're going to have to be careful about what equipment you have and what equipment you're wearing to get through these places. I really think you should go and watch the 6-minute video from Stefan on his own, just chatting about the world, and then obviously you can take note of that and anything else you've seen, just like I've done today. I will leave the link for that in the comment section. My name is Jade, I will be covering this game massively on release. Can't wait guys, and I'll see you soon.